Take it past the Canada, start a big bonfire out where the cops won't see. Pass around the fifth, I'll take a sip, singing.
Woo! Coke 45, Coke Country Remix. Feel it. Feel it. So when y'all come up in here, I'm not gonna wait long because I want to head into the house. What's up, Ganja? So I want to get out. I'm over here at the overview by Wild Week. Let me grab my thing. Can't let y'all see that. Ow. Okay. Key in case somebody wanted to jump in and take the truck, which is not gonna happen. Remember I told you about that big mansion me and my boys was gonna get up there? Yeah, we was gonna get it. This is years ago. We probably should have. I forget how many acres. There's nobody there. Well, I can't say that because I'm not always down here. This is the overview of Wild Week. Remember I told you about making the movies? Look over here. Look all around. See that darkness coming through the clouds? See all this stuff? See that dark line from the cloud coming from the sun? That shows you it's not out in space. From the angle, okay? That dark line, that overcast with the chemicals in the air right now from all the spraying they were doing last night in a certain place, right? That shows you. If it was out in space, that wouldn't even happen. The light would just be straight on the earth, whatever shot. But some people say, well, in this direction, it's going to cast a shot. That's not how it works. 93 million miles away, stop being retarded. All this, I'm standing in the same, I'm breathing the stuff right now, even though it seems like it's pretty clear, it's not. This is what I'm standing in right now. This is what happens when your pineal gland can't see and make difference. See all that? What you think is a mist, or you might think it's, they say pollution. It's not. Well, it's pollution made by them. That's why I've been sharing with you what you need to know. Why people acting crazy, weird, and everything else, partaking in things. Who's to say that the meat doesn't have that crap in it? Because you got to remember, that thing is deception. Silent weapons for quiet wars. And I know a lot of you are going to have a hard time accepting this. I'm not here to make you believe in anything, because believing in anything is the less of knowledge, meaning not knowing. Why did I say the great equinox? Well, I'm not saying that the day and the night are equal. Well, they say the sun crosses the sun crosses the celestial equinox. Why do you have to look outside of yourself and not see the paradigm within? See? Park right there. All right. And I'll have to empty my mind first before I say this. There are many who have seen what y'all have yet to see, and they're not around to tell it. Then there are those who are part of the delusion, the strong delusion, placed over you that you don't have to be in. They are in. They work with the things that some of you will soon see. There's no way around it. There's no way to prepare for it. I think it's magnificent. I'm not saying it's good. I just think it's magnificent. That's me. Yet at the same time, they've ramped their game up. See that right there? That is not dew nor mist. See that? All that cloudiness? It's right here. You just can't see it. I know it's here because I can. It's an angle that I look and I can see that I'm in it. You can wake up, or you can wear masks and change the narrative a little bit. But this stuff is microbial. And they've had a long time to experiment. As I stated before, 100 years from the first time they sprayed. They actually have footage if you want to go and pull it up. Okay, they have footage of the first aerosol spray. So what I'm going to do later when I go live, I didn't go on read last night. I was chilling out with my neighbors having a long conversation again, and teacher, I had to pick her up, which y'all saw that, and she relaxed, and I let her have downstairs. I went upstairs afterwards, and I just going through some books, 2 glasses of wine. I got to throw the bottle out because you can't, it's waste, but that's all I like is a bottle, or I mean a glass or two. And smoked some weed for my back and my knee. It helped. I was able to go to sleep. I fell asleep in the chair actually with my book on my lap. The teacher said she saw me and she was going to wake me up, and she says, look, I looked like I was so comfortable, and I appreciated that. Did I dream last night? Yes, and I made it my business to not remember. I can recall myself to not remember saying that to myself. And I do remember, but I don't. It's kind of weird. It's fragmented. And I didn't want to remember it. I've seen it so many times, so I know it. Someone said, it's funny how all these people are getting exposed in New York and Chicago and California and Dallas, the homo thug thing. I says, it's not like nobody knew. Wendy Williams exposed it. People doubt everything because the music, the frequency, it has them stuck in this place of this fictional power. Of course Busta Rhymes is a homosexual. But see, what people don't know is how did they get there? Who remembers somewhere near the middle or near the end of last year when I did a post on adrenochrome. And I recently shared a video about, I didn't share the video, I talked about, and I said, these are the sources and references you can go look at, about in 1948, how the Zionists were stealing the Jewish children. It started with them. It started with them. Dismiss. And then it moved out to the Arabs started fighting because of their children coming up missing. And then when they were finding, sometimes they would find their children dismembered, drained, all kind of weird stuff, decapitated. And then it breached out in Hollywood and all this other stuff, You gotta remember the spaghetti westerns and everything started around really in the 50s and 60s, up through the 70s. Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, and so on. And I was sharing that because they knew that they can't keep everything a secret for a long time. So what do you do when you get to the point where things are actually being revealed? Well, you get rid of those who are getting in the way and showing what's going on. And at the same time, you hastily rush into the dynamics of creating another war, which none wars ever stop really, but a bigger one. You create another world war because you spoke on it. You gave people a vision saying the first war was the end of all world wars, and the second one, blah, blah, blah. And the contagion with the chemical lobotomization and chemical poisoning or toxification, most people refuse to accept the reality of the situation. And most people that partake in it are implicit because they're complicit, because in ignorance, they move in false valiance and everything else. Just had a British guy, I could tell he's the officer by his haircut. I know. Jogging, and so I decided to say something because I could tell he was British. I says, hey, there's a good trail. You can run 10 to 20 miles that I used to run on. And it's right down there at the lane. He goes, oh, yeah, mate, thank you. And I'm like, I have Navajo youngs run marathons for the high school, and they're pointing how they're seeing more military-aged men jogging with certain equipment that I utilize, and some just jogging, couples, all over the place. This is not to bring up some fear or something. We were military, we were all over in different countries and stuff, even the countries where stuff started and happened. It's like a cover. Some of you remember in 2019 when the UN in Colorado went over and took over the airport. Go look it up. They might try to eradicate and erase that from history. And a lot of veterans and certain people who aren't privy to it rose up and says, whoa. And so they got the UN that's on our land up out of there. African women being, asked, what's going on? They just being very nonchalant. You can't fly if you don't have a mask, and you get your real ugly on this soil. I just had to prove to an individual before I went live, before I came over here at the parking lot, that the African and the Negro are not the same. We created Liberia. Do any of y'all know how many people went to Liberia and what year? Before Liberia was Liberia, and why the flag is the way it is. And they sprouted out from there. James Teller, I mean, it was an asset, right? We went over there to dispose of a certain individual who was horrendous, but was playing his part. And then other individuals, I'm not going to mention their names. These people are originally from here. The imbalance is perfect. Most people are ignorant and don't know how to see these things. Omek, Benji, wow, y'all popped up on here. What's going on? Did it freeze? Because my thing is acting up, y'all, because I think there's a virus in it. Yeah, it's the AI. Right now, y'all aware that the AI can detect American flag. It was trained, and it considers something that needs to be gotten rid of. This is what they've trained the AI for. So if it sees something like a flag or something like that, to which, flags don't represent who we are. That's the conditioning by the system. And the AI sees you as an enemy. Trained by them individuals are marked as. And I'm no enemy of nobody. But yet, I enjoy this shit. But, like I said, intelligence is not intelligent at all. All right, it's just words. Yet, I proved to him. So I pulled up a couple of things. I'm thinking about putting together a piece, but most people should know this anyway. The African, and they're not denoting African brothers and sisters or cousins. It's not denoting them at all. That's not a safe place. I don't know what a safe place is. I don't respect that nonsense. Yet, we're not the same at all. And now you have certain Negroidal individuals, or maybe they're Africans, Moors, claiming the heritage and dousing you, saying you either are mixed, this, that, and the other. And those individuals obviously are liberal cities, and some of you have come to see them. You've made the acquaintance with them some years ago, and you follow them, and you see the rhetoric. This is part of the dilemma of what happens. This is what you call psyops, okay? You can be controlled, a lot of you can, with certain frequencies because of what you've seen and what you've heard that can turn it on and have you in control of a certain narrative that is outside of the hemisphere of what you've actually expressed, spoke upon, or sided with. That's why I say it's not good to take any sides. Not at all. Even when I stated it, most of the times, I guess you could say, having both bookends while all the books are in the middle. To bring a little rationale, regardless of irrationality. Sahani. And I think some people are actually fighting these perpetual demons. That means your ignorance. And they're starting to see there is a conflict. And they are a major participant. That's why I say science is not good to choose. Because you have individuals on all sides who actually want to see you win. You just unaware of it because, like I say, manipulation through frequencies and currencies and everything else is reality. They are hyping their game. They've had long enough. They've had the mad scientists, the Dr. Jekylls and Mr. Hydes and the Frankensteins doing their most best. And what some of you don't know is some of these people are under duress. They do what they do, but they have to be given something probably to make them comfortable. But there's no way to back out of it. For those of you who ever watched The Watchmen and watched the guy who wanted to fictionally recreate Egypt, or the narrative, Ra, sun god, this, that, and other, who genetically enhanced himself, who killed the comedian, who challenged the smartest man who they considered God, Dr. Manhattan, to build a machine that can create free energy when all he did was create a weapon to destroy, to change the narrative. And he destroyed New York, surprisingly, a few other places all around the world. It wasn't in one place. And even in his madness, Rorschach getting murdered by Dr. Manhattan, not because no one could see the truth. The scientists were eviscerated or evaporated. And you saw who the scientists were. We create, they utilize it to find a way to not demonstrate, but to destroy. And that false narrative, emancipate. How you say what's that word y'all always use? Talking about we're emancipated? Yeah, well, it's not what it means. I think this shit is groovy, but you, on the other hand, will see otherwise. And I can dig it. I think this shit is great, y'all. I know you're gonna sit there, red is crazy. No, you don't see what I see. Someone who likes to invent things, draw down, write things, and destroy it so nobody else can have it. It shit tickles me. I think it's just magnificent. Is that a gene in me or something? No. But a lot of you will see. A lot of you are starting to see things. The only issue at hand is, can you control your emotions and your feelings? If you have the greatest military, how do you want the enemy who is no enemy to win? How has it worked on both sides? Remember, Germany won the war, and then they brought America in it. When there was more to the creating of this industrial militarization, it was not only to poison certain rivers and lakes, it was a whole lot of things. And nobody could see any of it because it was all in the shadows. And here you are again in the shadows while everything is blatantly exposed right in front of you. So here I sit in all this garbage that they continue to spray. And they've gotten so good where if you're standing in a particular place, it looks like everything is fine. But then when you look all the way around, you see, when you remove yourself, see, most of you look out the window or stand in front of your home and go, oh, a beautiful day. But if you raise yourself above and look around, you'll see that you are in the worst of, I don't want to say man, but they're polluting, and you're actually in it. And what is going on in here is an illusion. Fucking hats off, man. This is an exceptionally well done job. Seriously. I think you tell people real history all day. It doesn't mean shit. Actions that don't have no actions but words, or no action at all. So what we're dealing with is nothing but words. That's all we're getting. It's nothing but words from a disposed sickness that permeates itself in a hidden democracy. And if they only knew that they were being used with all their worldly pleasures and treasures, do what as thou wilt. Aleister Crowley bullshit. And to be thrown away once they're used. You got to enjoy yourself. We're done with you. So we're going to sacrifice you to incarceration or to blow your cover. And it's your choice whether you want to stay there or come out of closet or whatever. And that's what you're seeing. Even Jaguar Wright and what's that guy, Leslie Dill or Dill, whatever his name is, who was security, whatever. When they were sitting there talking, you heard some mismatch cross information, because you remember what her and Orlando Brown was doing was a game. Because all this stuff was coming out that was talked about when Wendy Williams had a show years ago. Nobody paid it attention at all. It's when the security guards start talking. The ones who wanted to collect their $2,000 and $5,000 to get a person from point A to B and make sure they were safe, who had to sign an NDA and all that other stuff. Saucy Montana. That one discussion about Busta Rhymes walking out the room with the bearded female him. Oh yeah. All this stuff is real. And that's small fry stuff. Yet, how is it that people, look at Texas, the homo thugs. I mean, look at what's going on. And I'm not talking about homosexuals. I can care less about them. I am talking about the dynamic of the institutionalized mind and its broken cadence that has no rhythmic harmonic balance. Remember, I'm only here for balance. I mean, you can debate and fight and argue what all you want to do. It's up to you, all of you. I did not put that on. Okay. There we go. All right. I know I put on a pretty good act. I hate to do it. I know many Jews who are great people, regardless of the new identity. And they will tell you straight up who you are. It's the ones with an insatiable appetite, who are not satiated. The destruction is their only narrative. They have bought into their copious lie, and they perform. That's why reading the protocols of the Goys for Zion is important. Like I said, I change up all the time because it has to fit the narrative. It doesn't remove what I've talked about or discussed. It's only another sip of tea. That's all it is. Be mindful, I told you, don't overdrink tea because it can create crystallization in the blood. So you don't want to crystallize and further mess with your pineal gland, to which you should be decalcifying. And that's the whole purpose of bioengineered and, genetically modified food. Less minerals, you're incapable of decalcifying, even if you're using moringa and chloria and all those things, and wheatgrass, which is one of the things I hate the most. Yet a shot of wheatgrass a week is very good. Even utilizing raw cilantro, about a tablespoon, and parsley, about a quarter cup, and mixing that into a raw salad, which removes heavy metals and certain toxins, taking a charcoal pill once every 3 days to further enhance that removal. Right now, they know what they're doing. They have made it so when you're doing that, you're still being intoxicated. This is magnificent. Whew. If I wasn't for the balance, I'd probably be working with them. Easily. Because a lot of you are hard-headed, you're stubborn, you're selfish, you're greedy. You're everything that they've created based upon a choice. I can't say all of you are autochthonous to this land, but obviously if this is the old world where everybody routed through, but there were many lands. So if 3 split up, everybody's entitled to everything. As you're entitled to Serengeti or Africa, Mojave, you're entitled to the UK, Germany, all of it, Sweden, Finland. The thing is control. And if you control the narrative or the source, you control the narrative. And if you control the narrative, you have to control the individuals. If you control the individuals, there's a perversion that takes place. Control. Absolute power corrupts. Absolute does not mean power itself. And you see the corruption. You see the cooperation too. And the funny thing is, they're using the most sickest individuals. So if you want to get a job done, if I wanted to have a serial killer or 15, wouldn't I go to the place where I can guaranteed to get those individuals? Well, we have an individual in Bellevue that's been there since they were 5 years old. They had this knack for picking up dead roadkill and murdering all their pets and doing weird things. Well, now they've been under the Thorazine shuffle and individuals that come in there unbeknownst to you who would experiment with them in quiet rooms on islands and bring them back, saying that they had to test them medically. That at 25 years old, they could set this person up, this individual, or these peoples up in certain cities, give them a false narrative in history, a family, and then let them loose. Knowing exactly what they're doing, where they're at. The cameras, we have more cameras here than in China. They know where every time you hear a shooting and all that other stuff in small cities, they know exactly who did it. I mean, you got to remember in California how many times the police took somebody's car, lowrider, and then, you know, the next night that same car is driving on, 4 block and shooting up everybody. And then it's gone, but they find hair and they blame it on this individual to which they have their hair. And next thing you know, it's retaliation and everybody's killing each other. Well, what happened to the persons with the CIA mask? What happened to the people who stole the car that nobody could tell who, or because the police took it? And yet they have no report of it being stolen from the impound. We're talking about 80s and 90s here. Not all police are bad, y'all. They're not. I know too many practical, and they're bothered by things they see. One of my friends who actually had to go over in Tuba City when that guy was mixing stuff up and blew up his house and killed the kids. The house was left there for a long time. I haven't been by that house. I don't know if they took it down, but it was a reminder. While I was living on the reservation, that happened. They see that, and to them, everybody is bad and evil. They're the ones with the badge and everything, and you can't blame them, but there are the ones who are in there with the purpose to intensify, and they're empty, and your life is unworthy. And that's what you come across a lot of in certain areas, but they never show all the good stuff. This is a mass manipulation. This is part of the disease. This is part of the culling. I'm not saying this is all factual. Do the research. Allow yourself to see. Allow yourself to see. Don't attempt to create the paradigm of the vision. Don't attempt to create some fantasy and illusion. You're already in it. Allow yourself, like they say, to breathe. Allow yourself to see. Because one day, some of you might wake up and everybody in your neighborhood, town, or city might not. Gans is almost here. He's probably got another hour or so. He's almost to Flagstaff. And we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna run a test on her. I want to take her to the indoor range and get her background check. I have a firearm that I want to transfer into her care, but I want to make sure that she's solid here. So we're gonna go to the range and let her practice shooting a couple of rifles and guns. And she needs a different hemisphere than other than I'm Black and Navajo. I'm this, that, and all that other false narratives. So it's good. I wish more other brothers and sisters showed up. This is what we do to slowly allow people to step out of that negative comfort zone so they can get into an uncomfortable positive zone and allow themselves to build. I've said enough. So let me go inside, get myself together. I'm going to have some tea and get myself prepped up, and we'll go ahead and get that read on that I didn't get on yesterday. Well, I shared what I needed to share yesterday. But this is like a little truck talk, all right? Appreciate the 5x5s. And it's nothing but, like I said, it's you have to have the balance. You have to have the same thought of the hours of the day and the night being the same, knowing that the sun and the equator play a major role already. They have their order. They're in tune and in line. We have to establish that equinox within ourselves, not just with our right and left hemisphere, but who we are externally and internally. Okay? That's why I use that term. And I guess I'll see you guys here shortly, all right? This shit is crazy. It's thick. It is thick. And it is not this is no humid area, y'all. This is dry. And there's no electric coal fire plant or nothing. This is their poisons, their toxins. But don't let it eat your brain, because then you'll succumb to it. You will feed it and you'll become all, and you'll start having physical effects and cortisol levels. And no, embrace it. Okay? It's like our ancestors, when they felt like their job was done, they could live longer. They gave up the source back into where it needed to go because they knew. You guys don't know. All right? Hey, Sharon Wilson. Hey, Snoop. What's up, baby? Bernard. Sharid. What's going on? I can't really even scroll on it. Anyway, I gotta close this out. So I gotta actually close my phone, because right now I can't even do anything on the screen, guys. I really can't. And come back on, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, here we go. Now I can do something. Let me say hi to some other people. Zodi McCona Solutions, I finally caught alive. Appreciate that. So I just wanted to make sure I shouted everybody out. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, all right? Beard's looking crazy. All right? Ladies, brothers,